Hi, it's John here from GPS Training and welcome to my spine story. As you may or may not know, I completed last year what's called the Spine Challenger South, which is the first 108 miles of the Pennine Way. And this year I signed up for what's called the Spine Challenger North, which is the final 160 miles of the Pennine Way. So this is my story. First of all, I must say thank you so much to everybody who supported me during this event. I raised a large amount of money for two great charities, Northumberland National Park Mountain Rescue Team and also for Hospice Care Northumberland. So if you have sponsored me through either of those great charities, I really do appreciate it. It makes it all worthwhile, and I know those two charities are really appreciative of the money that we've given them, which is your money, it's not my money. I just participated in a bit of a fun event and did a walk. So what is the Spine Challenger South? It's an ultra event, 160 miles. We have 90 hours to complete it, and it climbs, you've got over 17,355 feet in climbing over that 160 miles. You start at a place called Hardraw, which is near Hawes in the Yorkshire Dales, and we finish at Kirk, Yetholm in the Scottish borders. So, because I'm GPS training, what did I navigate with during this walk? I navigated with both my Garmin GPS Map 67. I use that for my navigation, so actually I plan you download what's called the GPX file of the event, and I navigate with my Garmin GPS Map 67. For the whole event, I never needed to charge that product, and it worked completely seamlessly throughout it. I also record everything on a Garmin Fenix 7 Pro Sapphire Solar watch. Now what I use my watch for, I use it to measure what I've been doing. So I use it more as a fitness side of it. So I see what time my last mile was, my overall average, how long I've been stopped for. And I use it more just keep an eye on what I'm doing, because when you're doing this kind of distance of walk, it's really important to keep a regular speed up. And the watch motivates me to do that. So I look down and think, right, I've just done a 20-minute mile, brilliant, 3 miles an hour. Oh, I've done a half an hour mile, 2 miles an hour, not good. I need to pick up my pace. So I use it just as motivation to see my overall average on each of the legs, and also my average last mile or the last mile time that I did. So those are two GPS products that I use. With the watch, I do charge it. As you'll see when I go through the event, I did stop at a number of checkpoints, and when I'm at those checkpoints, the first thing I do, I have a power bank in there, charge my watch for that, because I'm only at a checkpoint an hour and a half, 2 hours, so I need to charge my watch for that period. Garmin GPS Map 67, my handheld unit, no problem, 180 hours of battery life on it, and you'll see I actually got near that, but not that at the end of the event. So there's three key checkpoints on this 160 mile walk. There's one at a place called Lowfell Farm, 34 miles, one at Alston, which is 71 miles, and Bellingham, which is 110 miles. So those are the three checkpoints that you need to go through, and then the finish, of course, which is 160 miles in. So I started off at 8 o'clock in the morning from Hardraw, which again is near Hawes, and you climb up over Great Shunner Fell. Now I actually started this walk with a great friend of mine, a guy called Paul Yeadon. I'd done a lot of training with Paul over the last year. He'd supported me over a number of years on doing a number of events, so it's great to get the start line with him. But on the morning he wasn't well. He'd actually be sick the morning of the walk. He had a bug of some sort, some kind of viral infection, and believe it or not, he ended up having to drop out at 7 miles as we dropped down to a place called Thwaite. So he climbed up Great Shunner Fell. Now Paul's a lot younger than I am. He's an ex-professional footballer. He's super fit, but he just really struggled. And I said, no, I was quite shocked really, because normally Paul and I are very similar fitness. He's a little bit fitter than I am, and actually when I'm looking back all the time to see where he is, I can see he was struggling. He was starting, he was needing to eat to keep his glucose level up. I knew he wasn't well, and it's quite emotional. We got down to Thwaite, and he decided rightly he had to hand the towel in and retire from the race. So he did that. So great, I've trained for many months with Paul, and suddenly he's gone. So off I go on my own. I soon hooked up with two great girls called Cleo and Gabby. They're actually from Northumberland National Park Mountain Rescue Team. I knew of them through various social media posts, so it's great to hook up with these two ladies as we head off. Again, we sent a few WhatsApp to friends and people that we knew who knew that like mountain rescue leaders and this kind of thing. Say, look who I've hooked up with, who we've met on the walk, and it was great with those two people. We also hooked up with another guy called Jerry, who was actually a volunteer on the checkpoint at Bellingham the previous year, and he actually done the Spine Challenger South, I think 2 years ago, and he was out to do this. Slightly older than what I was, but super fit. So we all powered on. I must say at this point, Jerry Garmin Trex 32X users, we had a good conversation about GPS units. He'd been using GPS units for a number of years, so it's good to catch up with him. 17 miles in, Tan Hill in. It's quite interesting here. So one thing you learn is you need to keep going. Now we were actually a little bit faster than what Jerry was, but we stopped at the Tan Hill Inn just to get use the loos, just some snacks, etc. And Jerry powered on through there without stopping. He was maybe 5 or 10 minutes behind us, but again he carried on. And it took us we only stopped there for what 15-20 minutes, and it took us a good hour to catch him back up. So the key thing I really learned from this is, with that consistency, the worst thing you can do on these ultra events is keep stopping. So by keeping consistent, and that's what we did. So we caught Jerry up, but it was a good 4 or 5 miles. Very, very wet, if people know the Pennine Way, just after the Tan Hill Inn. So we dropped down to go Grasholm Reservoir. As we were climbing up from Grasholm Reservoir, this is just before our first checkpoint, the drone was flashing around, and we ended up on the end of that day's official Spine video. People don't know, every day the Spine race release a video, and there's a really nice video of us finishing just before Middleton on Teesdale. So again, I'll put a link to that below if people want to watch it. So it's really nice footage. But as we're climbing up, there's this drone buzzing around. It was quite interesting to we didn't know where the operator was. But again, it was quite nice to finish off on that day's video. Lovely summer's evening as we came into Lowfell Farm. Checkpoint 1, as I said, that is 34 miles in. We hit it just after 8 o'clock, and this is video footage of us coming into the checkpoint just after 8 o'clock, and it was 34 miles in. So again, we've been going 12 hours at that point. Felt really fairly fresh. We stopped for about an hour. We got fed at the checkpoint. We gave the opportunity to my socks, replenish my supplies in my rucksack, and again we were there for about an hour, and then we had on lots of midges around there. So again, midge net on, get yourself. So we arrive at a checkpoint. Key thing is get your feet aired, get some fresh air to your feet. So feed, get water, go to the loo, etc. And then pack your bag ready for that next leg. Replenish any food that you've taken, because you have what's called a kit bag. So you come across your kit bag at each of these checkpoints, and then you get access to your kit bag. You can replenish your supplies, you can change over clothing if you want to. Then as you're leaving the checkpoint, you actually get a kit check. So they do a random kit check on you to make sure they just randomly will check you've got your map with you, you've got waterproofs with you, you've got this with you, you've got 3 litres of water, or carrying capacity of 3 litres of water. Every checkpoint is different, and it's to make sure that you don't just dump all your stuff in your kit bag and go off with hardly anything in your rucksack, and then if something happens, you've not got your emergency supplies with you. So after an hour, we left checkpoint 1. Kit was checked, off we went in the evening. People don't know that section is one of my favourite sections of the Pennine Way. If you want to go and walk a section of the Pennine Way, please do it. Up from Middleton on Tees, you follow the River Tees up, you go past Low Force, the famous High Force, absolutely stunning section of walking. And after a short while, we walk into the night time. Bit of a scramble, as people don't know, a place called Cauldron Snout, a bit of a scramble. I know during the winter event of this, they actually did a diversion because there was a lot of ice on this, right next to a waterfall, a bit of a scramble up, and we hit that in the early hours of the morning. It's quite interesting because the winner of the full Spine race, who had started 108 miles before us, 24 hours beforehand, actually overtook us at that point. So middle of the night, he comes scrambling up, lovely guy, had a bit of a conversation with him, and then he went running off into the distance. From Cauldron Snout, we climb up to hike up Nick. It was no views, sadly 3 o'clock in the morning. People don't know. I'll put some pictures now, absolutely stunning views for a hike up Nick, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd had 18 hours into our walk at this point, still no sleep. The only thing we did at Cowden Start was, I know Cleo was just serviced her feet. She had a few blisters coming, so you can see we stopped in the middle of the night and got ourselves serviced there. Then the long drop into Dufton, which is a small conurbation. At Dufton, there's actually some staff there from the spine race. We're 21 hours into our walk at this point, so as we hadn't stopped, we had a bit of a power nap for half an hour, so we had bivy bags with us. We stopped for half an hour there in Dufton, had a half an hour power nap, went to the loo. Again, we didn't see our kit bags there, we could just eat what we had with us. And sadly we lost Jerry at this point. Jerry I talked about, great company. He actually injured his leg coming down from hike up Nick, so we lost Jerry and we picked up this wonderful lady called Emma. So Emma had been ahead of us, had walked all through the night on her own, and we picked her up as we started our climb up to Green Fell, Great Dun Fell, and then the mighty Cross Fell itself. So again, we're climbing up here. We summited Cross Fell at 10 a.m. in the morning, so it kind of shows that, you know, we're still very early. As we're climbing up the Green Fell, well actually I think it was Dun Fell, we're climbing up there, we again got met by the Spine film crew, and again I'll leave a link to that. So we actually finished the previous day's video and we started the following day's video as a bit of a chat as we were walking up Great Dunfer. So I'll leave a link in that below if you want to watch that. It's just right at the start of that video, and we kind of chuckled for a few hours because I think all we talked about was food and coffee and food. We didn't really talk about anything about the views, just sleep and food is all we discussed in that short video that was started off their official video. So again, Crossfell we submitted at 10 o'clock in the morning. If people know, we then dropped down to a place called Greg's Hut, and then there's a long walk into Alston, which is our second checkpoint. We arrived at Alston about 3:30 in the afternoon. We're 31 and a half hours into the walk and we were truly shattered. We really hadn't slept at all except for our 30-minute sleep at Dufton for that 31 hours. Alston, it's the hostel there. It's a youth hostel, but it's a privately run youth hostel. Famous on the spine race for its lasagna. So again, we could eat lasagna. So what I've learned from doing this event over the years is first thing you do to arrive at a checkpoint is eat and give your body time to digest it and regenerate and rebuild your muscles. So ate lasagna, similar thing in all my checkpoints. Eat, get showered, try and get a little bit of sleep, get up again, eat again, replenish my bags, make sure everything's good. I actually take my feet up, my back of my feet sometimes rub, so I put tape on my feet. You know, like people see athletes when they're running, they put tape down the legs. I put tape around the back of my feet, around the sole of my feet, and it stops me from wearing the skin and potentially blistering. So we left Alston at 7 o'clock at night. Now it's quite interesting this because actually I was with Gabby and Cleo, Emma, who we'd met a little bit early on and left a bit earlier, but there was a bit of hold up. Cleo was having problems with her feet, so she was seeing a medic. So I head off about 15-20 minutes ahead of them, but they caught me up after a couple of hours. It's quite a hard section, this, going into the dark. If people know, from Alston heading to Greenhead on Hadrian's Wall, quite hard to navigate in the dark. Hardest bit to navigate in the dark is when you've got a lot of walls, a lot of fields you're going through. You're really having to work with your GPS unit to understand what's around you, because again, you can't see. You're literally seeing your head torch in front of you, so you're looking 2 or 3 meters ahead of yourself, and you really do struggle. Now it's not bad on open hill ground where there's one big path or something like that, but when you're going through these fields everywhere around Alston, it's actually quite hard to navigate on it. And the worst thing is, I've said earlier on, is you keep stopping. You've got to keep yourself moving all the time, so it's quite hard to navigate. You've really got to concentrate. And we reached Greenhead about 6 o'clock in the morning, climbed up to a place called Wartown Quarry on Hadrian's Wall, and we slept there at around 7 o'clock in the morning. So the sun was just coming up with a lot of midges there again, but we can just get down in our baby bags. First thing I do before I sleep in my baby bag is take my socks off, let my feet air, because the problem was your feet are wet all the time, as you'll hear a little bit later on. So again, if you can get your feet air for half an hour, it's amazing what a difference it does. And then start off by retaping. So before I get in my baby bag, take my socks off, take my tape off, sleep without my socks on, and put as much clothing on as I can, because you soon go down in temperature. Then get up in the morning, take my feet up, put my socks on, and I'll pack my baby bag, and then away I go. So back on Hadrian's Wall, really hard section. If people walk Hadrian's Wall, that middle section, a lot of up and downs, and we hit Windshield Crags, which was the highest point in Hadrian's Wall, at 10 o'clock in the morning. Met a lovely guy on Hadrian's Wall who was quite shocked at what we're doing, because we've got our numbers on the back. There's a lot more people walking Hadrian's Wall, a lot of people asking what we do, and the lovely guy gave me a £10 donation towards the charity on Hadrian's Wall, because he was moaning about his 13 or 15 mile walk along Hadrian's Wall that day, and there was us in the middle of a 40, 50, 60 mile section of our walk. So pushed hard on to Bellingham, which is our next checkpoint, and we arrived there about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock into Bellingham. Absolutely exhausted. One thing that we really learned from this is when you arrive into the checkpoint, you arrive there absolutely broken. By the time you've ate, by the time you've showered, by the time you've had that hour's sleep, 3/4 of an hour's sleep in Bellingham, ate again, you got clean clothes on. I actually changed my walking trainers, put fresh walking trainers on. I left Bellingham a completely different man. I arrived broken, and literally 2.5 hours later, I left about 9 o'clock that night, a completely different man. Lovely sunset as we climbed out of Bellingham. Absolutely stunning evening as we climbed out of Bellingham. Quite a hard climb, very wet underfoot as we did that, and we were chronically fatigued by this. We were all very, very tired. Had a couple of quick power naps, 5-10 minute power naps on the trail during the night, and then we went through what's a half checkpoint where they should just check us through, and then we arrived at a place called Burness Church at 5:30 in the morning. So Burness Church is famous for the spiners. It's just before you climb up over onto the Cheviots, and a lot of spine race competitors will sleep there for a little bit of time. So we knuckled down for 1 hour sleep, slept on the floor in front of a pew, and to be honest, I wish I hadn't stopped for that long. My biggest regret was stopping for as long as I did. Because I thought it was indoors, I don't need to get my baby bag, I'm nice and warm, took my socks off, and I just woke up after half an hour physically shivering. Now I don't know if this was exhaustion at this point, but I was not comfortable at all. And even when I woke up going through that procedure again, I'd redressing my feet, put my tape on, put my socks on, and heading on my way, I really struggled to get myself going. Normally I'm very good at this, but actually I was slow. Now I don't know if it's down to fatigue, lack of sleep, all of this, or just being cold. I was waking up shivering. Now later on I kind of had a similar experience when I finished. So I don't know if it was a little bit of that shock of you've been walking for so long and now you're stopping. I don't know if that was what it was. So I climbed up onto the Cheviots. This is the Thursday. I started on Monday, and now Thursday morning I climb up on the Cheviots, my patch. I live in Northumberland. I walk along the Cheviots. This is where I met my living guy in the Cheviots, and it was stunning. Now the girls I was with, or the ladies I was with, they powered on ahead at this point. I was really struggling to get over that lack of sleep, and I met the spine crew again, so I ended up on the spine video for the third and final time. I've never been on a video as much as the one, so I'll leave a link to that one below. I caught up to Gabby and Cleo and Emma again. They actually stopped for a little bit of sleep, so I actually caught up to them just before what we call Hut 1, which is, if people don't know, there's no road crossing go across the Cheviots, so you've got 2 refuge huts. So we met them up at Hut 1. Emma strode off on her own after that. I left shortly after that, and we're now 75.5 hours into the event when I hit Hut 1. 7 hours between Hut 1 and Hut 2. I find this quite a frustrating section because I know the Cheviots like the back of my hand. I walk there a lot. We actually do events in this section of the Cheviots ourselves. So again, I was going a lot slower than what I would normally expect. And because you kind of think, oh, I'm not far off Lamb Hill, I'm not far off Windygal, I'm not far off this section. And knowing that, actually, I really struggled because I was suffering from chronic sleep. I had a really nice power nap for about 6 minutes just after Lamb Hill, and that gave me a real good lease of life before I climbed my all-time favourite summit in Northumberland, which is Windygal. It was amazing, and that 6 minutes sleep really helped reboot me, and then I climbed up to Windygal. I felt really fresh at this point. I was really kind of quite confident. There's paving stones up there. I was pushing on and getting there, and I hit Hut 2 at 6 o'clock that night. I'm now 19 hours after I've left Bellingham on my final day, 82 hours into the event, and Hut 2 is at the top of what we call the College Valley. It was fantastic, really, because Hut 1, there's marshals there, there was no water there was no hot drinks there, just because of the remoteness of it. So when I came into Hut 2, I was quite tired, and they're going to have they won't have any resources there. So a lovely lady walked out to meet me, walks back with me as they do with all the competitors, and said, "Would you like a tea or a coffee?" I'm like, you've got a tea or coffee? I said, yes. I had a cup of coffee. Because I went in my home ground, quite a few people, the lady who came to meet me knew who I was from Shepherd's Walks, my other business. The person on the checkpoint knew who I was, the medic knew who I was. So I had a really good a great cup of coffee that they made for me. Lovely to catch up with them. I could have stayed there all day. Lovely to watch the sunset going down and have a really good chat with these people at Hut 2. 7 miles towards the end now. Really hard going over what's called a shill. A couple of people passed me. I was quite tired at this point. It was nice to catch up with those people. The second person that passed me, I had a really good chat with him. He's from Oxford. He's studying at Oxford University. I had a really nice chat. It was just nice to meet someone. I'd been on my own quite a lot that last day. And I came into Kirk Yetholm, finished at 86 hours and 12 minutes in. So here's some pictures of me crossing the finish line. I was, mighty relieved. I never thought I wouldn't not finish. I'm that kind of determination. But again, it wasn't that, when I finished the Spine Challenger South, there was quite a lot of emotion. We finished the line, that relief that I've done it. This time, I was actually just very glad it was over with in the nicest possible way. It'd been a hard haul across the Cheviot's that last day. It was lovely. My family met me, my son and my daughter, and my son's girlfriend was there. And it was lovely. You see the picture there of us all together. It was really nice. I was interviewed for the spine media, etc. And I kissed the famous wall at the Board Hotel in Kirk Yetholm, which is what you do when you finish one of the spine events. It's more emotional now looking back and seeing the pictures than what it is at the time. At the time, I was just exhausted. So I go to sleep. They take you in to a room, and they want to check your feet. They want a medic to check you over, etc., etc. So I went in there, had a little bit of something to eat. I really was struggling to eat. I actually started shaking again, again, very similar to what I saw at Burness Church. It's a shock or the fatigue. I ended up with my down jacket on, with my hat on. I was really quite cold to do it. So again, I'd been up for 26 miles since I'd left Bellingham at this point. So again, no one was chronically fatigued. Walked, I think it was 44 miles, I think, from Bellingham to the end, with no sleep or very little sleep. Very little food. I was really struggling to eat on that last day as well. I soaked our feet in disinfectant, had a little bit to eat, had a good catch up with a spine team, and then I got back in the car and came home. I slept all the way back, got back about midnight, and had a quick shower, got into bed, and I was up again at 8 o'clock in the morning and felt relatively good. It takes a good 3, 4, 5 days to recover from something like that. You literally cannot walk, you're struggling to hobble around a little bit, and it's amazing how quickly your body recovers. You eat a lot, you sleep a lot, you rest a lot, you do exactly as your body is telling you to do. That was me fully recovered. So total finish time 86 hours and 12 minutes. The cut-off time was 90 hours. It was actually 96 hours last year. They brought it down to 90 hours, so as well within that cut-off time, which is always what I was aiming for. Really pleased I've achieved it. Lots of memories, lots of friends gained, as people say, on the spine race. I actually went to the presentation on Saturday to give Mountain Rescue their check for some of the money that we had raised so far, and it was they really appreciate. They know what effort I put into this event to do it. Friends and family, and again, it's not just me. I say this on our podcast and other things, is when you train for an event like this, there's a lot of commitment from the people around you, because you're not just going out and doing 6 or 7 mile walks, you're going out and doing 35 mile training walks. That's your regular walk. 50 odd mile training walks, 60, 70 mile training walks is what becomes your norm, and therefore your weekends off, you're suddenly away for 24 hours going and doing a 50, 60 mile walk, and therefore there's a lot of commitment to the people around you, and that's I can be grateful for that. I've got the great support of my family and friends who understand this bit of an addiction, but a healthy addiction of doing these kind of events. So hope you've enjoyed a little bit of an overview of it, a bit of a video of what I went through, the story of my spine race. People keep saying, what are you going to do next year? I'm having a year off next year. I might see what I do next year. A number of friends that did the South race last year are doing the North one this year, including my good friend Paul Yeadon, who sadly dropped out after 7 miles. He signed up for the event next year. I'm going to go and wave him off, and look forward to it. I'll do a lot of training with him to get him back up to speed over the coming year. And then I don't know what I'm going to do the following, but I've decided I'm going to have a year off train with Paul, help him get through this race, wave him off the start line and see what we do. I'll carry on to a number of other events, keep my fitness up, because that's the key thing of that, keeping your fitness off. I lost a stone before the race. I actually lost then another half stone during the race. I put that half a stone back on again now, so I'm at my pre-race weight. So it just shows what shock it puts you through before you do it. Again, as I start off, many thanks for your support, for people who sponsor me, people who dot watch me, all the messages. I think I got 90 odd messages on the tracker. I read them, they kept me motivated, they kept me smiling, they really did. And when I finished, a lot of people sent me really kind emails and messages. I really appreciate that support that you guys have given me, both from Shepherd's Walks team and also the GPS training team. Again, if you ever fancy doing anything like this, feel free to give me a call. If you're training for something, you want some advice. Not that I'm an expert in by any means, but I'm happy to share my experiences, and I hope this will give you a bit of an insight into my story. And as always, many thanks for your continued support, not only for myself but all the team here at Shepherd's Walks and GPS Training.